one up in the front, and they're gonna state the part on the top of the slip. We're gonna do one by one. And you're gonna read this top part where it says say, and then you're gonna act out this bottom part. So read that part right now, actors. And then once they act it out, everyone, you're gonna have to guess what type of insurance the co-op needs in this incident, in this scenario. Yeah, you can talk. Actors can talk. They can ad-lib. They can improvise. They can say whatever. The options are in your packet. If you want to look at those options, it's not cheating too much because we're not acting all of them out. But if you know something about insurance, you can wait. But yes, those are the different types. It's insurance working together. It's the first part of the worksheet. So, are you ready? Do you need any hints? Have you got it? Okay. Go ahead. So start by reading the top of the slate so people know who you are.
He's getting into character. Just think of
How you doing?
Fine, yourself?
So, my name is Abe. I'm an worker / owner of a board member of an online school.
You said to guess what's happening. Are you unemployed?
Don't guess yet.
That's it.
Well,
Is that it?
No, that's what
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
no, that's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
Don't look.
It's a dramatic pop.
Very dramatic.
very.
You have no insurance?
You don't need some.
Red nose is a big deal.
Are we supposed to guess?
No.
I think I was correct.
Is that it? He's visualizing it.
I think it has to do with how you won't your insurance.
Stage freeze.
So I don't know what happened. One day I came in and I got a phone call from this lady named Margaret. Hello, Margaret. Yes. How may I help you? Well, I saw one of your commercials and I wanted to sue. Why do you want to sue? Well, because it offended me. How did it offend you? Well, it's targeting my albums. Well, that's what we want to do. Hello? Yes, I'm still here. Well, what do you want me to do? Well, I'm going to sue. Yes. Okay. So you're going to sue? Yeah, I'm going to sue. Hold on. Stop. We have a problem. Someone is going to sue our company and is not looking good. Any ideas?
Okay, now you can start guessing.
Errors and omissions.
No.
General liability.
Huh?
General liability.
No.
Director's
What? Huh?
Director's insurance.
Yes.
He's a member of the board of directors.
So he was a board member, he was a non-member owner, he was a board member.
Okay.
So he was worried about his skin
I see,
as
okay.
a board member. So can someone read the blurb about director's insurance?
Director's insurance. In some big corporation, members of the board or of directors are insured from any penalties they are faced by wrongdoing associated with the business. Hopefully your co-op doesn't need to worry about this, but if you are engaged in any kind of legally worse behaviors, you might look into it.
So if this online marketing firm was sued by a big corporation for twice what they're worth, they get all the assets out of the company, then they'll go after the individual directors, board of directors, right? So some companies, even medium-sized nonprofits have this. It's pretty common. For if you have outside members on your board that want to make sure that they're covered, this is an additional type of coverage that you can look into. Any questions about director's insurance? Worcester Roots doesn't have it. A lot of groups are.
Just perfect. So I am a neighbor of a client of a snow removal co-op. Okay, I'm gonna start after now. This one time, oh my god, this huge pile of snow. I'm gonna climb up it. I don't know why I'm climbing up it, but I'm gonna climb up it anyway. I got it very serious. Where's my phone? I just fell off a snow pile. Please don't get me. Oh, I'm definitely suing these guys.
General liability.
No. Yes.
All right. Could someone please read the part about general liability? Well, first of all, why is it general liability? Who is she going to sue?
She's not a part of a company, she's gonna sue the company.
For something they did,
Yeah,
right? They put the snow in front of her house, she tripped on it.
yeah.
she has-
Well, here you get into a sticky point here. I mean, you'd have to argue that the snowbank was an attractive nuisance, because what the hell was she doing climbing? People wouldn't do that. You need a lawyer to argue.
Little kids and stuff, man.
Yeah, I know.
And if you don't have
She's not a little
insurance,
kid.
you gotta hire a lawyer and pay to defend that. you
That's
know?
right.
So can someone read the liability insurance part, please?
This is the most basic kind of insurance that every small business is required to have. Liability insurance protects your business in case of a mistake or accident that causes harm to a person outside the company or their property. For example, if someone drops a ladder or damages a car or building or hits a person with it. You should have this kind of insurance even for a home-based business. If the line of business you are in is not very risky, it will cost less money.
So what does liability mean, generally?
Means responsible.
So if you are found responsible for something, you could potentially be sued, then that's where liability insurance comes in. What do people know about coverage amounts for liability insurance?
Depends on what
So
you're doing.
Sherry's mentioned $1 million.
Depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're a company that does roof work, anything up on a roof, you're gonna get a much, a higher cost, obviously, because well, that would actually be
That's
for,
workers' comp.
that's for your workers, but yeah. It just depends on what you're doing, how
What if they throw
potentially hazardous it is.
But yeah, so if we transport people, so we potentially like really hurt someone or kill someone or have or something, so that's why our liability is really high.
People can sue you for hospital bills, loss of work, mental traumas that happen. Everything could be piled into it, and all those things can pile up to close to $1 million sometimes.
In
right?
that instance, though, with their business, it seems much more likely that they're not going to be the reason for the accident, but rather an automobile. How does that play out? Does that affect their insurance, or?
But we could be, if a car cuts in front of us and we swerve off the road and hit another car, that's gonna be our fault.
The good thing about insurance is that you don't have to be experts in it, because there are these people called insurance agents. And you go to them and you say, this is what I need to do, and it's their business to go and shop for your best insurance. And they'll tell you what you need, and it's good to ask a couple of them if you don't think you're getting a good deal. So we don't need to know you don't need to know all the details of those things. They'll kind of explain that to you. But you need to know basically what you're looking for when you start a business. And liability insurance is a pretty basic one everyone will probably need. There are other extra kinds of liability insurance, like toxic soil busters needed for a while, pollution liability, because we're dealing with toxics, right? So on top of our general liability, we have to get another $2,000 a year pollution liability. So if you're in that boat, again, your agent might alert you to that. And maybe that's because a general person won't take you on just as a general liability. They require you to get additional.
Alright, so I work for a fire truck chasing company that boards up windows after fires.
So you chase fire trucks and fire trucks?
Okay. And wow, this place got really burnt. I'm sorry, you guys. This looks like it's gonna be really expensive. Wow, this is intense. This is proper. This. Nah, we might skip. Here he said, it's okay.
No.
I'm sorry, it's just.
Like that?
I forgot what I was gonna call this, but it's just gonna be something. What was it? Not share. No.
The money you're gonna make out of these
Countertop.
Countertop.
It's gonna be a countertop. It's like
Alright.
so we're gonna keep talking about how burnt this building is because this is terrible. I wonder what started it. It's gonna be pretty expensive. Air brakes. Ooh, I hope you guys have insurance.
So what kind of insurance was this?
Property insurance.
Property insurance.
That's it. Was done by Ace. Was written by Ace.
Can someone read the property insurance sentence, please?
He didn't own the building. Did you own the building?
I didn't. I was.
He's there doing an estimate.
Yeah, I work for a fire truck chasing company that boards up windows after like a place is burnt down.
But the co-op owned the building that burned down.
Right. So
Okay.
he's on the site.
So the co-op needed property insurance. What, can someone read the sentence real quick?
If you own a building, it needs its own.
Go ahead, we're.
Alright, if you own a building, it needs its own insurance policy. Really expensive tools and equipment can also be insured against fire, damage, or theft.
So, this is, again, only if you own a building, we do need this additional piece. And from Stone Soup's experience, we can tell you it's a good idea to get, there's two kinds, right? There's one that covers what the insurance company is going to argue that it's worth, and there's one that pays for everything to rebuild it as it was. Actual cash value policies and replacement cost policies. Make sure you can try to get the replacement cost policy when possible.
Which one did
It's
Stone
Stone
Soup
Soup had an
have?
actual cash value policy, and hence our need to raise lots and lots of more money after the fire to rebuild the building.
So it's cheaper to get the actual cost.
Now,
Actual cash value policies
Yes.
are cheaper.
of course, but in this skit, he was. I'm not sure exactly what played out there. Can you explain how property insurance cover that? I mean, who was suing who?
No, he was just.
I wasn't suing anyone. I was just boarding up windows.
Right, but you,
after
what was the
the
whole thing with the countertop? You
That it
broke
broke.
it?
Say the countertop was worth like a
Yeah, but it was
bazillion
already
dollars.
damaged. I mean, it was in the fire, right?
No.
I didn't get.
Actually, that one countertop did not burn. And it was
Okay,
on
and you
it,
destroyed it?
and I didn't. It was poor quality.
It's for major loss of property, like a building. Any questions on property insurance? Okay, our last actor, please.
I a worker owner of a carpentry co-op.
Okay. So, anyone else have any other guests?
Omission insurance,
What's that?
error and omission insurance.
Any other guesses? Workers' comp, yes. So, can someone read? Can someone read the workers' comp? Real quick?
I'll read it.
Just a minute.
If your business has employees, you are required by law to carry a workers' compensation insurance policy for those employees. Business owners who are not employees are not required to cover themselves with workers' comp, but in a co-op, you really should. One of the main reasons businesses misclassify workers as independent contractors instead of employees is to avoid paying for workers' comp. Workers' comp protects workers in case they get injured on the job. It will pay for their medical bills and lost wages while they are out of work with an injury. These are really good things, and you should carry workers' comp.
So there's a state pool that does workers' comp, but you do it through a broker. So you can go to the insurance agent, broker, and they can help you find a workers' comp policy that fits. And they can advocate for you if you have a classification that doesn't fit neatly in what the state says you fit in. So the example about the roofer, you're gonna have to pay a lot more per the salary of a worker to cover their expense than someone who sits behind a desk all day. But they classify it for you, and you have to usually send, just an audit of what you paid on an annual or twice a year basis kind of thing. So, any questions about workers' comp?
Yeah, not so much workers' comp, but I noticed that there's a small business agency downtown Main Street. Do they provide all these different types of insurances there, or is that just a separate type of insurance? Small business administration, small business insurance?
They probably can help you get that, no
I
problem.
mean, like,
They
have
would
different
have
varieties
liability, workers' comp, they would help you find each of those.
and find the correct insurance for the work that I'm trying to do. Or the
Probably.
work that I'm doing.
And there are hundreds of insurance brokers around that you can go to, insurance agents, and ask.
I was just
Yeah,
curious, because I
for
seen that
quotes.
building down there all
That
the
is
time,
one, yeah.
and I thought they specialized in something, maybe a small
Does
business.
anyone know? You'll have to do that. If you have employees and not just contractors, which most of you should. And then auto insurance is just similar to any vehicle insurance. If you own a vehicle, you need to have that insured in the state of Massachusetts. And then errors and omissions, did we talk about that? That's mostly for professionals who, if they, like doctors, if they make glaring errors, then they'll need additional coverage. If you have additional questions about insurance, again, the insurance agents will talk to you for free. They want to sell you insurance. They can help you find out what you need. And it's a good idea to at least talk to two agents when you're getting started to see how much the quotes can vary and change unless you have a lot of trust with that agent already. Any other things to add or questions about insurance? It's one of the most expensive things about starting a business.
For the people who might know, people doing the food, I went to a workshop at the New York Trust Food Conference on food law. There's like a new emerging sector of specialized law just for small food producers, CSAs, farms, and cooperatives. So it might relate for you guys. And he only practices in New York, but he gave a really good workshop. But in it, he did talk about how, like, in the food industry, liability is like extremely high because if there's any cases of like food poisoning, the policy is to settle immediately, and they always will settle immediately, and then they'll just figure out among the producers who is the most liable after the fact. But you're always guilty, basically, is what they said.
Yeah, so it depends where you are in the chain and how much responsibility you carry. One more thing, if you have a good safety policy, it can sometimes lower your premium for insurance. They look at that, they ask for that kind of stuff when you are looking for liability insurance. So if you have good business systems, it can help you save money. And if you can't afford a $2,000 to $3,000 insurance policy right off the bat, you can usually get them financed, and you pay an additional, maybe 2 to 5% on that financing. But almost all agents have a connection with a finance, or underwriter has a connection with a finance. So ask for that if you need it.
Great. Thanks. Next topic. We're all done with insurance. Anybody have any last questions? Okay, so the next topic. Dig back into your notebooks under your worksheets tab. We're going to look at these worksheets about competition, message, and branding. Everybody see those? So the first thing is your basis of competition, right? And this is basically all about why is somebody going to buy from you and not from somebody else, right? Why they're going to go with you instead of the alternative. So you guys already, in your market research exercises, you already identified who you think your competition is most likely to be, right? So when you think about yourself and them, what makes you stand out? What makes this potential customer choose you instead of them? So this is just a list of 7 different reasons that people are going to pick you instead of somebody else. And there's probably more than this. There's as many reasons as there are people. But let's see. Can we just go around and somebody read each one? So who wants to read number 1? Yeah, Abe.
Price. I buy this one because it's the cheapest.
Who's gonna go in order?
Alright, yeah, or whoever.
Quality. I buy this one because it looks better. It looks better, lasts longer, does a better job, and is healthier.
Service. I buy from them because they treat me right, and they are more professional.
Convenience. I go there because it's on my way to or from school or work, or because they have parking and are close to a bus stop, or because they'll pay me later. They'll pay later.
Values. I buy from them because they are a co-op, green business, or locally owned.
Identity. I buy from them because they are not the coolest, most fun. All my friends do too. Uniqueness. I buy this one because it's different than everyone else's.
So does anybody identify with any of those more than the others? Or does it depend on the kind of product you're buying? Judy?
Yes. I can identify with a lot of these, and it does vary depending on what I buy.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Well, when I think when it comes to food justice, and I think about this is like a lot of things we have to consider, like why do people pick McDonald's over coming to the farmers market, and I would say a lot of it is for me personally, convenience and price.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that a lot in my everyday life or in general.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that probably goes for everybody, right? If we had the money, we would buy something that we know is better. But sometimes the money just isn't there, right?
But every now and then, I will buy something that costs more than I can really afford because it's for the value, or because
I mean, because of the quality, because it's gonna last longer, or because, I just think it's important to do it. I mean, there are different.
What do you say?
I was just gonna say, I think one thing that's not, or it's kind of reflected in here, but just is like cultural accessibility. Like there are some products where people might prefer to shop at a concept market or Big Y because there's people there who speak the same language as them, and the brands are in a language they understand and they're familiar with. Or there might be people who like won't go to an ethnic food store or a certain area because they're not familiar.
Yeah.
Intimidated.
Yeah, there could be like somebody who always goes to the same gas station because that's where their dad went. You know, if there's people who went somewhere out of habit, definitely someone who speaks your language is going to be a major one. Does anybody go somewhere because of how they treat you?
Yeah.
Like where?
And it's not even like, cause when they read that, I saw it as a professional, but I went to it because it wasn't professional when they were talking to me, and it was like a Chinese place, but I wish you had the experience, but it's kind of really weird. But it was just like really funny, and mind you, I can get the food that I actually want and cheaper at like, because it's in the mall, so it's like right in the same food court. I can get the same thing cheap, but just because they make me laugh, I'd be like, okay.
All right, so it's more fun to go there. And what about identity? Does anybody like buy one thing over another because it's like it's the cool thing to do and it's what the cool kids are doing?
I think sometimes, depending on what it is and how I'm feeling and how much money I got.
Yeah. We know there's a lot of pressure on young people to do that, but the rest of us are also guilty of that a lot. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want everybody to break up into their co-op groups for a minute and do this last question. So in terms of the product or service that you're offering your customers, pick out from here or from your mind or wherever, what do you think are the 3 most important factors of why people are going to choose you over your competition? And you can choose some of the ones that are written here, or you can make up your own if you like.